So what has been happening in med school? I finished the first block, which is the nervous system, and the second, which is the endocrine system, which talks about the relationship of hormones to your other organ systems and how all of that is connected. The next thing that I worked on is the psychology and the cognitive development block, and that's what I'm currently in right now. It is about pediatric development and geriatric development, as well as some psychological differences that people might have, or some pathologies or diseases of the mind that you might see in everyday life, or that are more severe, that are less common. So that is what we're doing right now. Personally, it is a little bit difficult for me to get into things. I am not really interested in this subject too much, simply because the details are not as fixed, and it's more of a conversational and observational type process than it is understanding lab values, recognizing signs and symptoms, and prescribing some type of drug or doing some type of physical to get to the root of the problem. Some of the things are similar, but it's just a little bit of a different unit, and I'm just trying to find and muster up the energy to kind of just stay focused and really get into the material to do well. I am doing all right so far. We have had a formative every week still in this new semester, and I am definitely here at doing virtual at home. So it's not too bad. I am a homebody, so I don't mind it too much, but I do kind of get lost into watching TV, such as catching up on anime or some new series that have dropped, like Queen's Gambit. Very good, by the way. So I really wanted to talk about a subject that not many people discuss. One, not many men talk about it, and not really people of color talk about it. And that is dealing with depression and relationship to depression to your environment. As someone who suffers from depression himself, I've had to kind of deal with this my entire life. And not many people know about it. And some of you guys might be learning this for the first time about me, but it's something that I've had to kind of deal with, kind of on my own and in my own space and in my own way. And I thought it was just something that was wrong with how I thought or how I felt, and it was just an internal problem. And I've seen on television how people talk about this issue. And you see some really excited people who talk about, oh, depression or mental anxiety can really change the structure of your brain. And it just sounded like a lot of, hippie or granola people who really just wanted to make their point and made things extra, instead of really talking about some type of scientific analysis that they actually knew about. So I kind of dismissed it. But what I did find out from looking at the neuro unit and the endo unit and now the psychology unit, that there is a little bit of merit to what was said in that regard. Actually, when you look at how you respond to your environment, your body likes to compensate. And that happens in not just this situation. We're talking about when you eat too much acid food, or if you run and you are running long miles, or whether you study a lot, or whether you try to read in the dark, or whether you smoke and you drink. Any of these things that causes stress or different requirements on your body makes your body try to compensate for that in different ways. And it can do that by changing the amount of cells in a particular area. We call that metaplasia. Or it can try to increase the number of cells in a given area, called hyperplasia. And I'll bring that concept in a little bit later. But let's talk about the first part. The first part is your environment. Now, many people, particularly people of color, are in environments that are very stressful. They have problems with financial issues. They have problems with family and health issues. They have problems dealing with society and how society looks at them and how it treats them, and the stresses it has on the social relationship with your peers that might look like you or that might not look like you. Many Americans also have problems with the justice system. And that justice system also plays a big factor in how you can live your life comfortably or under high stressful situations. So how does this play a fact in your health, and how does that relate to your overall mental health and ability to think and have peaceful sense of happiness? Well, it turns out that whenever you take in a stimulus, and that is whether you're thinking about something, you're seeing something, you're listening to something, your body responds to that physically and emotionally. How does it do that? So first of all, what happens is your body will take in sensory information through your eyes, nose, mouth, etc., and it will process that through your thalamus and through your cortex to give a better understanding and context to what's happening around you. Then it will process that information through another system called the amygdala. And your amygdala, using glutamine in and GABA out, it will transfer that information into a sense of fear. Now, you can have a lot of sensory information that is low on fear, or you can have sensory information that produces a high fear response. The problem is, when you're under stressful situations, your amygdala is therefore producing a lot of GABA out. And that GABA out neurotransmitter is going to then tell your body, hey, we are under a stressful situation. We need to produce a stress response. And the more you have this stress response over and over and over again, what's going to happen? Your amygdala is going to enlarge. We call that hyperplasia. That word I talked about a little bit earlier. And if you keep having this amygdala on and on and on, it's going to have this biological response down the line. That brings us to our second point, the HPA axis. You have your amygdala, which is receiving information from your thalamus through your cortex, or straight from your thalamus to your amygdala if it's a piece of sensory information that you have encountered before. Once your amygdala receives this information over and over again, and we get hyperplasia, your amygdala will then stimulate your hypothalamus. And your hypothalamus is the first step in the HPA axis. How does this HPA axis work? Your HPA axis stands for hypothalamus, pituitary, and adrenal axis. What happens is your amygdala is going to send a signal to your hypothalamus to say, hey, I need you to crank up your work. And your hypothalamus is going to send a hormone to your pituitary. It's called CRH. CRH is going to tell your pituitary, hey, crank up the work. It's going to make your pituitary crank up more ACTH. This ACTH could inhibit growth in kids. This ACTH can decrease your menstrual cycles or make them irregular. This one can cause increased body hair, particularly in women, or it could cause problems in weight gain for both men and women. So your pituitary system is going to send ACTH down to your adrenals. And that's going to say, hey, I need you to make a compound for me. And I want you to make a lot of it because the pituitary system and the hypothalamus and the amygdala is telling me we need more and we need help. So help me out here. So the compound that it induces is cortisol. And cortisol has a wide number of effects on your body. And I'm just going to go over a few for right now. A big one is high blood pressure. It does this by affecting a few receptors in your body by increasing the water content in your blood. And the higher your blood pressure is, the more other parts of your body has to compensate. And when it does that, your blood vessels can thicken and tighten. Now, let's say you don't have a heart attack or stroke. You have other problems that cortisol brings to the table. It increases the amount of glucose that stays in your blood. It does this by making your body a little bit more resistant to insulin. And it also can help break down your stores of glucose by then pushing it out of the cell and putting it into your blood. This is not good. What happens with glucose in your blood is it connects things together, such as proteins, and makes them deposits in your kidneys or in your blood vessels. And it kind of gunks up the pipeline and prevents them from working well. That's not great because you have problems with diabetes, or you have renal failure, or again, hypertension, leading you at risk for more potential of a stroke or more of a potential for a heart attack. Then you have the problems that cortisol brings when it deals with your immune system. Your immune system is not working really well, so you're probably at risk for more infections. or you're not going to help regulate your immune system if one part is a little bit out of whack. So you are at risk for immune-related problems as well. So do you see where I'm going with this? If you have elevated levels of cortisol or just prolonged levels of cortisol, you're going to be at risk for disease states or difficulties in your health in general, or maybe even a severe adverse event. These things aren't good for you. And if you have an environment that's telling your amygdala, then to your HPA axis, and then leading to high levels of cortisol, continuously pushing this system on and on, your body's going to have to react and adjust. And you're going to be dealing with health events such as high blood pressure, diabetes, bone formation problems, or even immune-related issues. These are what we would consider comorbidities. And if you were having this issue on a wide scale with a population that has systematically been pushed into positions where they are living day in and day out of difficult situations without any reprieve, you're going to have a population of people who are going to be dealing with these comorbidities at a higher rate than you would see in other populations. This was quite surprising when I first looked at this, because I always thought that how people deal with stress kind of brought people back to a baseline where we all kind of deal with the same stress or the same type of adverse event or difficulty, anxiety, stimulus after a while. But actually, these things stay along with you. That if you don't resolve these problems in a timely manner, your body is going to adjust to a new baseline. And this new baseline is going to therefore influence how you can deal with diseases, how you can deal with infections, and how your body just naturally functions from that point on. But overall, I just wanted to bring this up to say how your body reacts to your environment can have a long-lasting effect. And just because you're dealing with a difficult situation and you don't have an avenue to escape, or you just have to grit and bear something for a long period of time, this can affect you. And it can affect how your body can be healthy and preventing you from having diseases or long systematic problems with how your body can function. This is not just a thing that's in your head and something you're just making up because you're not mentally strong enough. This is something that has to deal with biology, chemistry, nature. And so give yourself a little bit of break, but also keep in mind that you might need to get some help and not have to do this alone. Lean on other people, give yourself a reprieve, and turn your HPA axis off once in a while. Hey, that's all I really wanted to talk about for right now. I hope that you enjoyed what we talked about today. And if you have any questions or concerns, please leave a comment. Or you can like and subscribe and tell people about the channel and let me know what you want to hear. Maybe I can bring something up that you might want to know about that you didn't know before. Okay, hopefully you have a great day and a great week. And until next time, y'all take care. Bye.